Hi, I'm Anagha.
And my name is Alma.
Welcome back to our 7th web development lesson, Introduction to Final Project.
Our lesson plan for today is to just review all the information we have covered to prepare you for your final project. Then we'll go over some specs of the final project.
To start, let's go back to the HTML basics. HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. It is one of the most commonly used languages for coding websites. HTML uses elements to create parts of the website. Elements are made up of tags, which are greater than and less than symbols, and text inside of them. You will almost always need a closing tag too. For closing tags, you will just use the slash symbol before the tag. For example, if you want to create a header, you would use the tags h1, h2, h3, h4, h5, or h6. Basically, these 6 H's indicate how big you want your header to be. So if you want the largest header, use h1, and if you want the smallest header, use h6. With paragraphs, you just use the tags in the letter P.
Let's review images and links. For links, you will need to use tags around href equals link.com, and then a closing tag with just a. Link.com is the URL to any website that you want to link, and the hyperlink text is what you want the text to say. For inserting images, you will need to use tags around image source equals filename.jpg alt equals alternative text. For images, you do not need to use a closing tag. Here, src stands for source, which is the source of the image. The filename.jpg is just the link address to the image.
Let's start with some vocabulary. The selector determines which section of the HTML code you've written will be customized. The property determines which aspect of the HTML code you've written will be customized. Finally, the declaration determines what the HTML code will look like.
Here are some commonly used CSS properties. Font families, font sizes, and font weights are typically customized properties when developing websites.
The doc type tag defines the document type. In our case, this would always be HTML. The BR tag creates a single line break within your website. The BR tag does not need a closing tag. The center tag makes the text centered. However, this tag is not supported in HTML5, so if you're using HTML5, you would need to use CSS instead. Replit supports this tag, so we don't need to worry about not being able to use it. The iframe tag embeds videos. Inside the tag, you can adjust the width and height of the video displayed to whatever dimensions you would like. The select and option tags define a drop-down list. The HR tag creates a line break separating the lines of the website. It's similar to the BR tag, but instead of a blank line, there's a thin line instead.
Now, let's review some ways to style HTML tags. Some commonly styled tags include the image tag, the HR tag, the H1 to H6 tags, and the paragraph tag. For example, to style the image tag, use the format shown above. The width and the height determine how many pixels the dimensions are. Using the example above will transform the image to have a height and width of 500 pixels.
To make a comment in CSS, use the slash and star and then close it off with another star, then slash. The background color property defines the background color. The border style property specifies the style of the border, for example, dashed or solid. Using border top or border bottom properties will specify the style for the top or bottom, but not for all the borders. Same goes for border right and left. The border width property specifies the width of a border. The border color property specifies the color of a border. The margin properties are used to define the margins of the elements, and you can do this by using margin top, right, bottom, or left.
Let's review the CSS font family property. The family name property is the name of the font family. Examples can include Courier, Arial, and Times. The generic family property is the name of the generic family. Examples can include serif, cursive, and monospace. In order to use specific fonts, you need to use the font family, font name, and the font family property. Font family properties are backup fonts in case the specified font name is not supported. Additionally, fonts can have weight and size properties. The default font weight is normal. You can adjust the font weight either by the name of the font weight, for example, bold. You can also change it by the length of the font weight, for example, 400. For the font size properties, the default size is medium. You can adjust the font size either using the word for the size, for example, large, or by the length of size, for example, 40 pixels.
Finally, we're going to go over JavaScript variables and data types. Primitive data types are predefined data types that are the base of created data types in JavaScript. Some data types include numbers like integers and floats, strings, which are enclosed in quotations, booleans, which include the value true and false, and null, which means nothing exists within the variable. Big Int is an integer that is greater than 2 to the 53rd minus 1. Variables are containers that hold reusable data in JavaScript. It is the basic unit of storage in our HTML program. All variables must be declared before they can be used. For the most part, the data in the variables can be changed within lines of code. Below are some ways to declare and initialize variables. Var, let, and const are some of the keywords that can be used to declare and initialize variables. Notice for the const keyword, if you initialize the const variable, you cannot change or update the data of the variable throughout the script.
Next, let's review HTML tables. To create a table, use the table tag. Inside the table, you can create table headers using the th tag, table rows using the tr tag, or table data using the td tag. Additionally, we can use the scope keyword to define the table headers as rows or columns. The tr tag is used to add rows to the column, while the td tag will insert data into the individual cells. If you want a certain table data to span the rows or columns, use the call span or row span attributes. We can also split the table up into 3 sections using thethead, tbody, and tfoot tags. These tags are short for header, body, and footer.
Now we are going to go over output and comments in JavaScript. Some ways to define HTML output include inner HTML, which defines the HTML element, document.write, which writes to the website directly, window.alert, which pops out in the alert box, and console.log, which is utilized for debugging.
And that's it for today's review. Now let's go over the final project. Your homework for this month is to begin working on your final project. Make sure you use this review and all the previous learned material and incorporate it into your final project. Your project needs to have a theme, for example, environmental sustainability, politics, etc. Your website should have at least 5 different web pages, including information about different aspects of your theme. For example, if your website is about environmental sustainability, you can have web pages about historical issues, today's problems, how to solve these problems, statistics, and famous figures trying to combat environmental sustainability.
And we're done! Thank you so much for watching this lesson with me and Alma. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to contact us using these emails above. Also, don't forget to send us the link to your final project. Our next lesson will be our last of the series, so be sure to see you then!